So let's take a successful story. You created your organization, you have partners, you have opportunities, you found a program or a donor where you can apply for financing to reach your goals or to implement a project that will get you closer to your vision. We go back to some previous topics, and this is transparency. You need to remember that working in the NGO sector, you need to be ready to be 100% transparent at all times. That means that if you have this mindset at the beginning, it will be not challenging and difficult once you start doing your projects and dealing with finances. That means that you need to have your website, your social media accounts, and any other legal requirements that you might have in your country, as well as any other contractual obligations that you will have from the financing body that will provide you the finances to implement your project. So, a simple way is to start consulting accountants and people with a little bit of experience, because if you don't have it, you need to learn, and one way is to learn it the hard way, another way is to ask for help. Basic things is for sure, once you have your first dollars, euros, or your first cents as project money in your bank account, is to immediately to start the most basic thing, which is an Excel table document where you track every expense. So you need to track every expense in order to know how much are you spending and to know at any time and any moment where you're standing with your project, what has been done, how much was spent, what has been achieved. Some aspect of this is that based on your country and based on the donor who is financing your project, you might need to submit a report every month, every 2 months, or twice a year, or at least once a year. Some of the things that we would like to share with you that you should definitely avoid and not do ever is to spend money when you are not certain if this money could be spent on the things that you want to buy. Many donors have rules, and you need to read your contracts very well and to know the rules in order that you don't spend money on an item, for example this whiteboard, which is not allowed to be bought. Anytime when a critical situation arises or something more complex and that you don't know how to deal with, it's best to advise with a legal advisor, a lawyer, or a financial advisor or an accountant, and definitely always read your contracts. And now that we're talking about finances and money, there is one misconception about non-profits. Many people think that if an organization is a non-profit, that means that nobody gets paid. Actually, this is not quite true. Every person who is working in a non-profit organization could have a salary based on the circumstances, based on the projects, and based on the financial situation of the organization. Those finances strictly depend on how many projects are financed and what are the rules of financing. But normally, very often, every donor knows that in order to achieve meaningful goals and to do some hard work, of course, people need to be hired. So it's a very normal thing, and most of the people who work in a non-profit organization, they have certain way of being paid. Some people have a full-time contract, some people have part-time contract, some people are project-based hired, and of course many people are also volunteers and doing pro bono work for the organizations. But definitely non-profits doesn't mean that people work without any pay. In every organization that deals with grants, it is absolutely normal to be paid for your work, and people get paid based on their contribution and what is healthy for that organization. What for certain is true is that a non-profit business means that from the financing and the activities and the projects that that organization does, they are not allowed to generate profit. All the finances has to be spent on the activity of what is in the project. And if there is any leftover, this cannot be divided as a profit to shareholders. This simply stays as a leftover and sometimes can stay with the organization, but many times the donors would ask you to pay it back to them.